Kingsman: The Golden Circle is a sequel to the 2015 film Kingsman: The Secret Service, and is directed by Matthew Vaughn. Like the first movie, the film is about an attack on the Kingsmen carried out by a drug cartel named the Golden Circle, which is led by Julianne Moore's character, who serves as the main antagonist of the film, and follows young spy Eggsy, being one of the last remaining Kingsmen, having to team up with the American version of the Kingsman, the Statesman. I want to articulate why I felt the sequel, although not a bad film, fell short of its predecessor, Kingsman: The Secret Service. Before I get into the negatives about this film, I want to list the positives. Number 1. The action was great. As usual, Matthew Vaughn nails his action sequences, arguably better in this film than the first, to tell you the truth. There were some fight sequences in this film that lasted minutes that were one continuous take. Number 2. The humour. The humour in The Golden Circle, like its predecessor, is on point. The dialogue was quippy and creative, and I found myself laughing quite a bit. And last but not least, the casting. Also like the first movie, the casting is brilliant, old and new. Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges and Julianne Moore are all great new additions, and all play their roles perfectly. And needless to say, the old cast, especially Taron Egerton, is pretty top-notch. However, despite all that, this film definitely fell short of its predecessor, so we have to ask ourselves, what makes the first Kingsman superior to this Kingsman? Quite a lot of things, actually. Pacing is one of the biggest factors. The first Kingsman had a perfect running time of 2 hours and 9 minutes. Kingsman: The Golden Circle was almost 2.5 hours long. There was also a lot of things in this movie that didn't need to be in it. For example, Pedro Pascal's character, Whiskey. For way too much of this film, you don't know anything about this character. It's not till the third act we learn anything important about his character. If you've seen the trailers, you'll know that Channing Tatum plays one of the statesmen in the film. While the trailers were deceitful, he played a very minor role. The film would have been better off if he played a more prominent role, but unfortunately, he was pushed to the side and replaced with someone who was half as charismatic or interesting. I'm now about to get into spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen the Kingsman: Golden Circle, you should probably stop watching this review now. One of my biggest gripes with this film was the fact that they brought back Harry Hart, Colin Firth's character. The reason why I have such an issue with this is because it cheapens the shock value of the first movie. Harry Hart's character, dying the way he did, was very bold and unexpected in the first movie, and the fact that they found a cheap and convoluted way to bring him back just waters it down. Another issue with this film is the structure. The film's second act felt like the final act, and that's mostly because of the way the film is constructed. The second half got so unfocused and convoluted that it messed with the structure, and as a result, felt like it was supposed to end several times during the second and third act. It's almost as if Matthew Vaughn came up with a beginning and an end during the writing process, but couldn't find a way to make them gel, and this was the final result. In conclusion, the film was still decent. It just needed to be trimmed down and should have let Harry Hart stay dead. Speak of the devil, I plan to make a video on why bringing back dead characters is a horrible idea, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you for watching.